Welcome, fellow truth seekers, to our cosmic corner of the Internet. Today we are honored to bring you a profound and transformative experience with the renowned Andromedan contactee, Alex Collier. But before diving into cosmic wisdom, we kindly ask you to lend your support. Please take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon for notifications. By doing so, you help us amplify Alex Collier's knowledge and reach a wider audience. Together, let's ignite the awakening of consciousness around the world. This video contains the entire 90-minute webinar number 36. In this webinar, Alex delves into several different enlightening topics, including 22 races forming the human genome, CERN universe destruction, Schumann resonance, climate data manipulation, benevolent and regressive extraterrestrial races, Earth's pole shifts, space fleet spiritual empowerment, government control, extraterrestrial mentors, wormholes, dolphins and whales as historians, hidden congressional bills for space fleet funding, interstellar highways, Procyon liberation, ancient races, Chiakar, Vega, humanity's enlightenment, and much more. Alex also answers questions from the audience at the end of his monologue.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, and welcome to the 36th webinar. And it's nearly 2 years since we started doing this, and I hope you're all very much more enlightened than we were 2 years ago, and certainly more knowledgeable. So, Alex, good afternoon. How's things?
HVP, they're good. They're good.
Okay, so there's you're maximized and we're off.
Maximized. So I guess we're good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Hi, everybody.
And, yep.
Thank you for being here for number 36. I know we're going to talk about the ET races, and we will get to that here shortly. But there's, some other things that we should talk about, or I would like to share with you all. And I am finally catching up with my emails. I am in the first week of May of this year, and there's a theme that's coming, several themes that are coming up, and I wanted to address some of this stuff. The first is, I must have gotten 10 or 15 emails in regards to a young man, I think he's 13 or 14, who is a savant, who claims that CERN has destroyed the universe and that we are all now living in a parallel universe. And if there weren't so many people asking me about this, I probably would not address it or give it the time of day. But let me just ask you this, okay? If CERN had already destroyed a universe, whether you are an advanced benevolent race or an advanced regressive race, and these baby boomers, these beginners, had this technology to destroy a universe, would you in fact continue to allow them to play with it? And the answer is simply no. No way. Okay? Because if you've destroyed one universe, you'll continue to do it until you figure out what you're doing. And neither the benevolence or regressive advanced races would allow something like that to happen. I mean, it's just common sense. So you can let that one go, okay? The other issue, well, there's actually several issues, is that a representative from Agartha is supposed to be speaking somewhere in Garden City, New York, I think it was, or Long Island. to tell the world, to make an announcement to the world about, how wonderful the inner earth beings are. That would be an event if it were truly real. That would be happening in either London, Paris, Geneva, Brussels, DC. It would be happening somewhere where there's a seat of power. And so you can let that one go. Okay. The other thing that has come up is that there is another UFO speaker who is saying that two things: the Schumann resonance is bullshit, and that the reptilians will never leave Earth. And number one, the Schumann resonance isn't bullshit. And we know that because we can actually scientifically measure the difference from 14, 15 years ago to where it is now. Not only that, but we can also measure the resonance, the Schumann resonance, for lack of a better word, of the planets in our solar system, which are all rising as a point of fact. They're all going up. In fact, the atmospheric changes on several of the planets have gone up over 1,000%, the density of their atmospheres. So clearly something's happening. And clearly it has nothing to do with global warming. All right? What it has to do is energy. We are moving through a plasma belt. We are entering a plasma belt, and we are passing through a plasma belt. And we may be in this belt for years. This changes the harmonics and the frequencies and the DNA of everything. So the bullshit is he didn't do his homework. And he knows who he is. Along those lines, investigators have been able to get the climate change software that was used to give everybody all these bogus numbers regarding how climate change was doing all these horrible things, and that it was going to be the end of the world at 2100. Okay, they now know for a fact that the software was manipulated and skewed to give false numbers. And how they know this is they added real data to the software program, and it came up with these bogus numbers. They then added white sound to these programs, and it came up with bogus numbers. Okay, so it's been another lie of government and special interest groups to gain more control and to manipulate humanity even more. To take away your ability to travel, your ability to move around, and essentially, enslave you in a particular part of the country. Because that's what bad guys do. They get hold of power, and then they just refuse to let it go. And they will do anything. There are no boundaries to their quest for power. And what's interesting about this is that, the benevolents see this. They are fully aware of the addiction that power has. And, this wasn't just seen on Earth. I mean, this has been seen in other places in the galaxy. Okay, this is not new. It's sort of new to us because, we've been living sort of underneath this, but as every day goes by, we're becoming more and more aware of the control mechanisms and the manipulation that has been going on, and we're beginning to actually, to use an expression, pierce the veil, and we're beginning to see, who's behind the curtain, who's been doing this. We still haven't learned all of their reasons and agendas for hurting humanity the way they have. But, that will all come out. I want you to be aware of this point of fact, because I have attempted to address this in previous webinars, and for some reason we don't get to it, or I forget to bring it up. The way things are currently set up, most of humanity, 90% of humanity, is completely vulnerable to dramatic Earth changes or solar maximum flares, to asteroid strikes, etc. The only ones who are protected are, of course, the elite and some of their management levels. Not all of their management levels, just some of them. Now, this is not lost on the benevolence. And of course, when push comes to shove, the regressive aliens who have been here manipulating, they will in fact leave. They will leave. The only extraterrestrials that would be allowed to stay are those who are in fact benevolent and champion humanity, or those who are completely neutral but will in fact mentor humanity on their own and have a long history of being benevolent and in fact or neutral. The regressives will be leaving. I cannot say it any simpler than that. They will not be allowed to stay here because of everything that they have done and the fact that the actions that they have taken to create or to put technology in the hands of a very unenlightened, very young and naive race, those actions have created consequences. And those consequences have affected not only third density, but fourth and fifth. So that isn't going to be allowed to continue in any way, shape, or form. Now, whatever happens here in the near future regarding the Earth changes, and there will be some. I mean, all you have to do is talk to farmers and measure where the sun rose in 2013 and where it sat in 2013, and talk to them about where it's rising now and where it's setting now. And the sun has moved north by over 4 degrees. And that's not a good thing, actually. What that literally says is that the Earth has begun her shift, her pole shifting, okay? That the North Pole is actually beginning to move south. So we're already into it, which is why we're seeing such extreme weather, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. I mean, Maine, a week ago, had 4 tornadoes. The state of Maine had 4 tornadoes. Unprecedented, okay? So, there's a lot going on, and if you pay attention to that, you will see that, and you will see different types of weather in places that never had that experience. And it's because the Earth's ecosystem is changing, and it has nothing to do with SUVs. Okay, I'm telling you, that doesn't mean that we couldn't do things better to treat the Earth better. There are a lot of things. But global warming has to do with where we are in space. We have entered a completely different place in space. So, when all this happens and the Earth changes, whatever they are, severe, extreme, minor, at the end, what's going to come out at the end of this, ladies and gentlemen, is that the governments that we now see in existence will not be in existence. especially a majority of those who have not done anything to take care of their people. Those governments will not be allowed to come out of their hole and just take over and continue where they began. That's not going to happen. Okay, different governments will have to be put in place. Those will be by the people themselves, the survivors, who are not going to forget this incredible betrayal. And that's what it is. That's what it is. And this can only be a good thing, because the people themselves are going to be empowered to not only make the changes, but to establish government that absolutely caters to their needs and is absolutely clear that its purpose is to assist and take care of the needs of the governed, which was the original idea of a constitutional republic. So the governments have already been told this. I'm told they've already been told this, that you know, it is not going to be business as usual. And they know what's coming. They know the changes and the shifts, the gravitational fields, NASA's doing a lot of talking about asteroids. Well, obviously, we're moving into an area where asteroids, because we have dwarf stars passing through our solar system, and they have millions of miles of debris tails. So of course they know. We will be dealing with debris tails every 152 days for several years. We will be passing through a debris tail every 152 days until we get towards the end of it, and then it won't be so bad. But in the very beginning, it's going to be difficult. Now, if there's a positive to that, it's that we do in fact have a space fleet. And it isn't just the United States. There are many governments involved in this. And it is, of course, one of the best kept secrets of humanity. Now, as I have told you, I don't know, a year ago, it may have been even longer than that, that the benevolents were not going to allow the breakaway society to break away. They just weren't going to let it happen, because it is absolutely not the right thing to do. And you can't fuck up the way they have and then just take off and think, hey, you're going to leave all your dirt behind. That is not how this works. That is not how the universe works. Okay? You have to clean up your backyard before you move on anywhere. And they haven't done that. And it isn't so much their fault. I mean, the actual crews in space. It is more the management and the military-industrial complex. They're actually the guilty parties here. Anyway, they're not going to be able to leave. And hidden inside the Congressional bill, the new NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act of 2008, is a line item that creates a space fleet that will, space operational fleet that will operate solely in space. Now, the purpose for putting this line item in is to create a funding mechanism, because they can't be off the books anymore. So they have to create the funding mechanism in order to be able to do this, not necessarily out in the open, but they have to do it. Okay, there has to be some accountability. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a really, really good thing. And the reason I say this is this. In the beginning, when it finally comes out that we've had this technology and this fleet, and they've been flying around for 60 plus years, there's going to be a lot of very righteous anger. But once that passes, and they begin to share some of their explorations and some of their discoveries, just in our solar system alone. It'll be quite fascinating, and it'll be enlightening. This should have been done a long time ago. It would have changed humanity's perspective about itself a long time ago. It would have created a brand new type of economy that would have not brought us to the brink of absolute financial collapse. But you know, the intent of the creators of these programs were basically to fuck humanity. I don't know how else to say it, but that was their intention. You're going to pay all the bills, you're going to be the slaves, and we're going to go and do what we want. Okay, well, that isn't going to happen now. But these things are going to occur, and there'll be more and more information. How it's released and divulged, I don't exactly know. There are bits and pieces here and there. But my point is, this fleet is going to be used to try to protect humanity as we're passing through these debris fields. Okay? For all I know, they've already begun. They have, you know, a pretty good idea of longitude and latitude of where the Earth will pass, and the Moon will pass through these fields. And maybe they've already begun, at least begin to hit the bigger pieces. So you need to be aware of that, because there is just so much going on behind the scenes. They're doing a marvelous job of keeping everybody distracted with Russians and the Trump fake news and, you know, Syria and just China and all of it. Okay? It's look at the right, look at the left hand, but don't pay attention to what the right hand's doing. They're masters at this stuff, and humanity has fallen for it time and time and time again. Okay, if humanity can just get the mindset, well, they want me to look over here for a reason, so that means that they must be doing something over there. If we started to focus more on that, we would see what the agenda is and how it's beginning to unfold. And again, the purpose of this is to be the observer, to not emotionally buy into it, because energy flows where energy goes. And as we have talked about many times, and there are other speakers, I believe, saying the same thing, we need to starve these bastards out of here, right? This is our home, this is our planet, this is about us. Even the ETs coming here, ladies and gentlemen, it isn't about them, this is really about us. Okay, and you have to be, you need to remember that. This is not something that we should totally be in awe of or fall into that place of wanting to worship. Okay, we've done this before in our past, and it's never ended well. So we shouldn't be doing this again, and we should have the mindset of, okay, we are going to stand on our own. We are going to become a united race once and for all, barring all the religions and all the governments, that we, the people, are going to stand together. What is it that we need to know, and what is it that we need to learn, so that we can move beyond this place of having become so disempowered that our governments think they can just leave the planet and leave us all behind to deal with these natural disasters. Okay? And that's the reality of it. And they can't ever be allowed to do that. Ever, ever, ever again. And they're not going to be allowed to do it. But humanity is just now coming to grips with, wow, we got all this stuff going on and we're not prepared. It's because they didn't want to prepare you. Right? That has to be addressed at some point. Now, also back in the information, hell, maybe been a year ago or so, or even longer, I can't remember. There's so much going on. I talked about wormholes, how they were intergalactic highways, and how ships can get in and they can move very quickly to other parts of the galaxy. Well, as the universe has grown, many of those wormholes or superhighways, for lack of a better word, have broken. They've come apart. I also shared with you that there were 3 that were still operational, not only in our galaxy, but to points outside our galaxy. And I have been remiss in not telling you where the openings of those 3 wormholes are. One of them is the constellation of Andromeda. The other is the Pleiadian constellation. And the third is in Botes, in the constellation of Orion. Those 3 wormholes are still intact. They're still operational. And intergalactic travel is occurring through those point of entries and exits. Okay? I just thought somebody would want to know that little piece of information. Now, regarding the 22 races, I have the list here. The actual notes that I have that specifically deal with each of the races, I do not have. That file is still in a storage unit in another state that I have not been able to go and get because of the financial costs of being able to do that. But I've maintained it these last 9 years because there are things in there I could never replace. So we will go through this, but there's something else I feel obligated to share with you. Now, this list is the perception or the perspective of the Zenitaean Andromedans in 5th density. They have not met all of these races. I'm talking about the 5th density Andromedans, because they have not had need to or a reason to visit these races. Okay, the only reason they and other 5th density races are even involved in this scenario that we're dealing with now is because of what happens in our future. 800 plus years where tyranny shows up, where there's a shift in energy in their reality that is tyrannical. That's what brought them here in the first place. Do I honestly believe that they would have even paid attention to us had that not occurred? I don't think so. Would someone else have come to our aid? I don't know. It's possible. But whatever events took place and caused this chain reaction that started here in our solar system in 3rd has affected 4th, and it has affected 5th. So there's no going back. So I guess in some respects, this may turn out to be a blessing, at least for those of us on our planet. Because this group was exposed by what they did. And I just think it's important that you know that, okay? That the A's themselves, I will tell you the groups that they have met that are in 4th density that I'm aware of. Now, it could be that they've engaged with 3 density star families, but I'm not aware of that at the present time. Because we're getting very, very close, and this is important. We're getting very close to that fork in the road, as they say. in spiritual wisdom, that fork in the road where you as the individual, you come to a place in your life where you have to make a choice about what it is that you want and what it is that you don't want. Well, not only is humanity on Earth coming to that place, but so are other star systems. 21 other star systems are also coming to that place. And the sentient beings that live on those worlds or in those worlds, they're also in a very similar place that we are. So, we're not the only ones on the block having to deal with this stuff. There are others. Even our space fleet, the officers on those crafts, who have, for the most part, been completely shielded from what's going on Earth, and have probably, to quote Richard Hoagland, who is very brilliant in making this observation, is that there's a different lie on every level. And I am sure that they've all been fed a lot of nonsense. So, just like we have down here, fed a lot of nonsense in order to keep a small group in control. So as we go through the list, I will share with you what I know, okay? But I don't have my original notes, which were rather extensive. And I apologize, but there's been a lot of life going on for me the last 10 years. Okay, now these are in order in relationship to our solar system, all right? The solar system, which of course includes Earth. The first race that is very instrumental in the discovery and mining and exploring our solar system are the sea corps, okay, the Royal Reptilian Line. They are obviously from Alpha Draconis. Thuban is one of the stars where the oldest of the families resides. Grominium and Itanen, those particular stars have the oldest civilized civilizations of the Sea-Car line. Now, they are a remarkable race. The A's have called them the ultimate warriors. It's too bad that they didn't do more good, okay? But I guess they've made the classic mistake that many races have made, and that is thinking that, power over is the way to go, that that's how you get what you want, and that's how you can control and manipulate. And unfortunately, that isn't what happens in the end. What happens in the end is that as you control and manipulate other races, in order to maintain that control and that power, is that you actually become a slave to the process yourself. You're not really free. And I don't know if they've gotten that lesson yet. Many of the Orion groups, the smaller groups, they've gotten that. And many of them have broken away because they realize that in order to enslave another race, you yourself become a slave to the process of enslaving them. And you eventually don't have your freedom either. So the second race is the Vegans. Some of the Lyran races are human, what we would consider human. Some of them are not. Some of them are very different. They're aquatic and other type of races. The two primary exoduses out of Lyra that literally seeded our galaxy of many human races were two small star systems that orbited Sulafat, S-U-L-A-F-A-T. These are Earth names, and Illyria. Okay, those were the systems that where the people were able to leave during the Lyran Draconian Wars. Okay, and they are actually responsible for much of the seeding of our galaxy, of the human race, or human type of race here in our galaxy. The third race is Orion, human and reptilian. Again, very old, very ancient, controlled by a monarchy. Their history is where they've gone to the dark, and then they've moved back to the light, and then they've moved back to the dark, and then they move back to the light. It has been one of exploration, of trying to understand its purpose, of its culture, to try to search for an identity. And that process continues, though I understand that for the most part, most of Orion has really settled down, and they're extremely neutral for the most part. Now, there are some small groups, some small star systems that are still practicing power over and manipulation and control. And unfortunately, we have several of those groups here in our part of the galaxy. Now, the stars where the more evolved star families are Anilam, A-L-N-I-L-A-M, Rigel, Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, and this last one, I'm not really, Cyclopeus, S-Y-C-L-O-P-E-S-U-S. That's where the more evolved beings are, okay? And what I mean by that is they're not necessarily neutral. They lean more towards the benevolent side and are willing to get their hands dirty and make things work. The fourth on the list is Cygnus Alpha, human, aquatic, and bird-like beings. I don't know an awful lot about these folks. My understanding is that most of the dolphin and whale populations originated in Cygnus, and that whales, as well as dolphins, are more or less brought to different oceans in our galaxy, and they're the historians. Their song is more than just casual conversation, but they're the historians of a planet. And their DNA is easily manipulated or altered so that they can adjust to different types of aquatic environments. And this is why they're used for this. Plus, they have an incredible intellect, and they're just absolutely remarkable. Now, the star systems where many of the whales and dolphins have come from, including the humans, are the smaller star systems that orbit Deneb, Cedar, and Gienah, Gienah. Okay, there is a newer group that is involved in the process now of freeing humanity, that is now involved in part of the liberation of our solar system. So they're a new group, also from Cygnus. They're just late to the party. They come from the star system of Alberio. Okay, and what's interesting about that is there is a lot of Lyrans there. So that's interesting. The fifth race is the Arcturians. They come from Botes, for the most part, the star system of Botes. And they are extremely enlightened, incredibly resourceful, and they are a race that takes great pride in pushing forward all the knowledge and the wisdom that they have to their future generations. So you could talk to literally any generation of Arcturian, and they would all basically be on the exact same page as far as their knowledge of the galaxy and history and technology, etc. So now, this interaction between Earth and these different races, I want you to know, goes back millions and millions of years. Okay, millions of years. And Earth's history is extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. Okay, the sixth group is the Pleiadians, predominantly human. Now, I'm not the expert on the Pleiadians. I've already shared everything that I know about them. There are other contactees who have had direct interaction and continue to have direct interaction with the Pleiadians. I would ask you to come forward and talk about what you know, or anonymously post it on a blog or something. It would be great for you to share the information. Europa, Alcyone, Maya, Pleione, and Alcyone. The group from Alcyone, they have a very checkered past with their interaction with Earth and our solar system, in that they've both done very enlightened things, and then they've done some really screwed up things. And they have changed political alliances to suit their specific needs at the time. And unfortunately, there have been consequences to that. And these lesser evolved races or younger races have had to pay the price for those switching back and forth of allegiances. Okay? The Zeta Reticulans, I'm not referring to the Greys, but I'm referring to the Zeta Reticulans. A reptilian, plant, and other. Their particular star systems where their civilizations come from and are the most anchored at current time are Canopus, Canopus, and Archer, Achernar. Those are the stars in which they primarily habitate. They're healers. They're some of the best healers around, I'm told, both in third and fourth density. Very remarkable healers. Very, very gifted, and have a great depth of compassion as well, which we have learned that plants have. We didn't know that, but now science can teach us that plants do in fact experience compassion and emotions. What their actual significant contribution has been to Earth, I don't remember. Those are in my notes, which I don't have. 8, the Syrians. Human, reptilian, and aquatic as well. They reside, the oldest of their civilization is anchored in Nilfin, Merzem, small star systems between Wesen and Aludra, Aludra. That was Wesen, Wezen. That's where they are. That's where they inhabit. That is where the root race of their star family is and exists to this day. Number 9, Aldebarans. Human reptilian. Small cluster of solar systems that orbit around the star Aldebaran. That's all I have for you at the moment. Okay? Sorry about that. Andromeda is number 10. Human. Star systems that orbit, smaller star systems that orbit Almach and Mirage. That is where the root race in third and fourth density, as well as fifth, that's where their root race exists. And they weren't always there. They migrated to those particular star systems during the Great Lyran Migration. But there were many stops apparently along the way before they chose to settle there and to hang their flag. Okay, that's third, fourth, and fifth. The Mizarians. I know next to absolutely nothing about them. They're human, apparently. And that's Mizarians. They come from a very large solar system that's located between Alcor and Mizor, Mizor. That's all I have on them. Number 12, the Minnetonkians. Mintakais. Now, these are human words. Okay, these are not the root race names that they have. But most of those words, especially with telepathic races, are never spoken. So there's no way for me to tell you what that name or sound is, because I don't know it, because I don't speak Orion or Arcturian or Vegan, okay? Telepathically, I don't speak their language. So, I've been criticized for saying, well, they all have Earth names. Well, how else am I to communicate who we're even talking about, okay? The closest sounds or symbols to their name put into the English language resonates to these words. That's what I'm sharing with you, okay? Just so you know. The Minnetonkians, human aquatic. They come from the Orion star systems, small stars around the central sun. That's all I have on them. Number 13 is the Cassiopeans, insexual as well as aquatic. Their central sun is Keph, Ruba, and smaller stars. There are 19 solar systems around those two particular stars where the Cassiopeans come from, their root race. And that's Keph, C-A-P-H, and the second sun is R-U-C-H-B-A-H. Again, these are in the English, the Latin, okay? Now, the 14th race is the Canis Venatici. It's a triple sun system, and they are reptilian and they are benevolent. And that's all that I have on them. Their names of their stars, of their solar systems where they are, has no translation in the English. But the star system is known as Canis Venatici. That's C-A-N-E-S, second word V-A-N-A-T-I-C-I. The Picturians. Now, this is actually pretty interesting. They're human, animal, and Yeti. It's a double star system near Captain's star. That's C-A-P-T-E-Y-N-S. That star. This is the Picturians, and apparently the Sasquatch and the Yeti, they're part of this Picturian group. I don't remember any more about their history. Again, my notes are still in storage. The 16th is the Anatarians. They're human. Solar system lies in a binary star system that orbits their star, Antares. Okay? And that's all I know about them, folks. Sorry. Number 18, Nibiruans, the Anunnaki, human reptilian. Their original root race comes from Tarshem, T-A-R-S-H-E-M, which is a star system that rotates around Butes. Okay. Number 19, Tausetians. They are human. Their solar system orbits between Menkar and Mira. Now, over the course of the last 25 years that I have been speaking, I have mentioned the Tausetians and their struggle to become free after they had been enslaved. I would ask you to go back into those notes and research that. They're a model of breaking free and self-empowerment. And they are very proactive in shedding the light and teaching and living by example of what they've been through themselves. Okay? A mentorship by these folks would probably be a very remarkable thing, especially in not only self-empowerment, but also constantly being aware to not fall asleep and to fall back into old patterns that will in fact be used against us to enslave us, should we allow it. Okay? Number 20, Capellians, reptilian, completely neutral. 3 star systems held by gravity that orbit around the central star of Capella. I don't know any more about them than that. The Procyons. We've also talked about the Procyons as well. They're human. Single and binary star systems, very rich in mineral deposits, which is how they got into trouble as well. Their story of liberation is extraordinary as well, just like the Tausetians. maybe even more compelling, to tell you the truth, because their story is that they were enslaved for over 600 years. And what they did was they created a hidden underground culture of seers, of wisdom seers, of enlightened shamans, okay, predominantly female. And they did this for generations and generations, and they kept them hidden while those on the surface suffered. And what they did was they were able to build up their numbers to such a point that they were able to create a conscious shift that was equivalent to 5 or 7 years our time. And the enslavers, which were primarily the Greys, were not prepared for it. And the shift happened so quickly that everyone woke up and they were able to call for help. And their call for help was responded to by a consortium of benevolent races. And they were freed. And what Greys survived, there weren't many, I understand, they skedaddled. And they were given refuge here in our solar system. So the bad ones, the very, very bad apples. So again, that would be a remarkable mentoring from these folks. The 22nd race is Hades, human, binary star system that's also near Aldebaran. That's what I have in my notes. I don't know why. I don't know anything about them either. But again, I want to stress that the A's, my fifth dimensional guys, have not actually met all of these races or even interacted with them, because some of these star systems don't necessarily have fifth density life. They have third and they have fourth, but they don't have fifth. So that's the reason for that. But now that there's been a lot more interaction with third and fourth because of what's unfolding here, this list could in fact not only be upgraded, but could also be obsolete. So I just want you to know that. But you know, what's important to remember about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're not isolated. You know, this horse pucky that, you know, we're the center of the universe, that everything revolves around us, and that, you know, God didn't make anyone else but us. And he put us all in this place as sinners because of a mistake of one person or two people. God, you still got to let that fairy tale go, okay? Because it's rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. We're not alone. We are a genetic root race ourselves. We have so much value. We have a future to go into, to learn about, to become a part of. And it is imperative that you all grasp that when you look up into the sky. Okay, they're out there. And you know, you can't convince someone who thinks it's all bullshit. Well, forget them. Okay? What's happening on this planet is not about just getting rid of the bad guys. Okay? That was the original point of everybody coming here. Was, well, what's the story? How does this whole thing line up? Who's actually the root cause of all of these events that happen through the dimensions? Now that they know that, now what's happened is they've learned about us. They have learned our history, and the neutrals and almost all of the benevolents that are involved in this, they're like, wow, look at these guys, look at this race, tucked away in this tiny little solar system, hidden away for whatever reason. Look at who they are, look at their DNA, look at their physical structure. They're already hardwired for 7th density and 11th density, which means if your brain is hardwired for 7th, that means that your origination point, your origin of your soul, before it got here was 7th density. That means that you are already an enlightened being. You're just suffering from amnesia. If your brain is already hardwired for 11th, that means that you're probably Batal before you came in here, and that's your point of origin, and you are also a very enlightened being suffering from amnesia. And the point here is that the benevolence, they cannot do all this work for us. We have to do our part, and that is to try to remove the amnesia. And part of that is to think bigger, is to understand that you are part of something much bigger than this little life you call a box that we have here on Earth. Okay, but you have to go there first. And I know that there are many of you asking, what's my purpose? You have to ask those questions. You do. And if you sincerely ask in all earnest to the spiritual powers of the Creator, to your higher self, to your soul, you will eventually get the answer. It can come out of absolute nowhere, but you will get your answer. And then you'll know, and it'll hit you like a ton of bricks. It'll be like an oh my God moment, okay? And you will know. You will absolutely know. Don't give your power away. Dial a psychic. Don't give your power away. If your origin is 7th density, if your origin is 11th, if your origin is 4th or 5th, you're already an enlightened being. Okay? All that's left for you to do is remember. And you have to remember that you're already an enlightened being. You just need to connect now to that being, who you truly are, where you were at the beginning. Okay? And in the grand scheme of things, who you are there, who you are now, was just a moment ago. Okay? Since there really isn't any time, what you maybe want to do is to focus your consciousness on connecting and bridging those 2 points of yourself there and yourself now. Bridge those points. Bring that 7th density person to you. Consciousness, bring that 11th to you. Because what you focus on, you manifest. Science proves this. Quantum mechanics proves this. Okay? And every time you begin and you start looking into the future to that person that you already are, okay, you begin to change your future here now. Let's do that so that we don't get focused and get caught up in all this nonsense, this pretend media mind screwing that the world is trying to give us. Let us focus on what it is, the direction we're going, and that's towards enlightenment. And eventually, folks, the rest will come. We will create such a wave that we will bring most of the others with us. But we have to be there first, And I don't mean to regurgitate that over and over again. It was Visayas who said, we are already those that we're searching for. So, anyway, JP, I am so ready for questions.
Okay.
With your
Okay, Alex, did you hear that? Are you here? You can't hear me. No?
Is somebody there?
Yes. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again.
I guess nobody's there. Okay.
I am now. James, can you button?
Well, guys, I have the chat line here. I guess I'll have to read the questions
Alex,
off of
can
that.
You hear us?
Okay. So, fire away, folks. Can I go home then? Nobody has any questions? Turn up my audio. My audio's all the way up, dude. You know? It's at full. I mean, I was talking to you before we started. How come it doesn't work now? Okay. So, hey, I see your picture. Cue cards? Oh. 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 Sonia Finch, happy birthday, Alex. Thank you. It's Tuesday. Tuesday. You know? And it's July 11th is when I decided to fall back into time. Little did I know what I was getting myself into. Too much Romulan ale, I think, on the mothership. So, but thankfully I've quit drinking. That won't happen again. Not that I was a big drinker. I've been accused of being an alcoholic, all kinds of things. You know, folks, every once in a while I make the mistake of going online and see what's being said about me. And I have to tell you, quite honestly, 98% of it is absolute bullshit. Where do these people come up with this crap? It's just like, wow. You know, I read one, I've been married 5 times.
Hey, there I am.
Thank you.
Fabulousness. So it's, you know, no thought of mine. What I'm going to do next time is I'm just going to mute it on my mixing desk, because I try muting it on the screen and it just doesn't bring me back in. Anyway, welcome back, Alex. Good show. Yeah, Aldebrands. There was actually before we start the questions, there was a thing came up in the support group last week about the Ashtar command. And I remember you came on my show quite a few months ago, and said something about the Ashtar. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the Ashtar command? Because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now, and they're putting out a lot of disinfo, aren't they?
Okay. I'm not only the A's, but I know that there's a group, a contactee, who is talking to people from Sirius, and I know that Myers Peas, and there's someone else that's talking to Pleiadians as well, a woman. I think she's in Brazil.
There's Nora Herald as well.
What? Jake, let me finish my
thought. Sorry.
Okay, we all have the same information regarding the Ashtar command, which is interesting because we don't know each other per se. Well, we don't know each other. And that is that, and that is this, is that Ashtar Sharon is a being who, for all intents and purposes, has been a pirate most of his life. He has switched sides. He has switched allegiances. He has done whatever he could do to benefit him and enrich himself and his crew. And to my knowledge, none of the groups that are here even trust this guy. And quite frankly, I don't even know who's actually talking to him, if they're in fact actually talking to Ashtar Sharon, which is his real name. And he does hail from the Aldebaran system. But from what I have learned and ascertained, there's no way I'd ever trust this guy. Because he has flip-flopped so many times on so many things, on so many races. He's not lived up to half of his promises to other races that he's been in contract with. So at this point, it's best to keep him and that group at arm's length, if I were you. But of course, you're all going to make your own decision anyway. So, and that's fine. That's on you. But I have shared with you my perspective. And that's what it is for now, that they are to be kept at arm's length because they have not they've not held the good road. They have not. So, okay, there you go. So now we have more controversy and etc. I'll get the haters, the Ashtar.
Well, they'll be the Ashtar boys. So somebody says Ashtarmac. Ashtar commanders, BS, trolls, yes. So in this group we don't it doesn't look like there's too many Ashtar fans. So on to today's fabulous questions. By the way, my audio sounding all right to you? Is it sounding clear enough?
Yes.
Fabulous. Okie dokie. Right. From our first questioner, Martin. It seems that the deep space... try again. First question, fourth word. Come on. It seems that the deep space... No, I can't even read this. So I'll try it again. It seems that the deep state is losing ground every day. Hamburg is on fire because of the G20 meeting. Is this the cabal fighting back and spreading fear?
Okay. The people protesting the G20 are miles from where the actual convention center is. That's number one. Number two, they're all paid for. Every single one of them are getting a paycheck to be there to protest. This was planned far in advance. And in fact, Angela Merkel tried to get the protesters moved closer to the Hamburg Convention Center, but the other countries simply would not allow it. It's all fake news. It's bullshit, okay? It is just rubbish. And once you guys, begin to see how this structure is, just ignore it. They ought to protest every single government, because of what they've done to not support humanity. And to say that they're all there to protest Donald Trump, oh, come on. Come on. It's just rubbish. They're all being paid to be there. And these things are like clockwork. Just do some research on the protesters of Hamburg. Just do some research, and you will see they're all the same. And the police know way in advance. They know where to put the water guns. And it's a fact because some of Merkel's own people have exposed her for trying to plan this and get it closer to the G7 or G20. So, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. Got another question?
All right. So from Björn, who are the most dangerous aliens now, and how do we combat them?
We don't, in my personal opinion, we don't need to even worry about that. What we need to do is get ourselves on the right road. we need to get our focus on what it is that we want, both as individuals, and as a community of human beings. And you will find that if you get your mind straight on what it is that you really want, it is not at all that different than what everybody else wants, which is joy, happiness, abundance, and to live, in peace, in a safe environment. We pretty much all want exactly the same thing, okay? But you have to create your reality first. Let's not fall back into focusing and worrying about what we need to be afraid of. Let's draw to us what we want. Let's bring joy, happiness, and prosperity to us. That's where the focus needs to be. Okay? Power, energy flows where focus goes. Focus on what you want. Focus on the positives, the blessings, and let's build on that. Let's not go back into what we need to be afraid of, because they're giving us that crap every single day. Okay? The news media, the cabal, the controlled world media, the governments, they're doing that nonsense every single day. And I've said this before, don't empower that. Empower what you want and bring it to you. And we will all be on the same page, okay? You will be amazed at how we're almost all on the exact same page, with some minor variations. Okay, JP.
From Fence Walker. Hi, Alex. Here is what I am curious about. Number one, as mentioned above, what might the mentoring look like and how might we use it to benefit humanity? And is the mentoring primarily on the astral plane, physical contact, or both?
Okay. A lot of mentoring has been going on the spiritual plane, the astral plane, and for those of you who travel out of your body and go to different places and go to school. Okay, unless you've actually experienced that, most people who haven't experienced that in any way, shape, or form wouldn't have a clue as to what we're talking about. But that is in fact happening. And essentially what it is just the information that people are getting on those levels is current stat and what to do and how to react when certain events occur, okay? And at this point, everything is event-based. Because that's just the best way to do this operation at the moment. To plan things out and to funnel your intel to different sources, that hasn't worked because there's been so much betrayal. And there's been torture of other contactees to get information. Horrible things have happened. The capturing of souls and put on a gray mothership to try to take them out of here, who all had information, those kind of things, they had to stop because I think what happened was the benevolence, they forgot that the bad guys, they don't play by any rules. So they're not making those mistakes anymore. So now things are event-based, which is why many of us don't have any recognition of what we're being taught. We may have glimpses, but the harder stuff is very deep inside to be triggered. As far as a physical mentoring, my understanding is that once they have made themselves known, they will, for a while, allow humanity to get used to the presence of them. Because the dark side, the cabal that's left here, they will, of course, to maintain their power and control, will try to make everybody fearful. This is an invasion, yada, 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 okay? And it's nothing but the sort. We've already been invaded. The enemy's been here for some time already. So at some point there will be contact. And at this particular time, I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but what they will do is they will share knowledge. They will share the history of our race on the earth. They will share spiritual realities that coincide with the history of the human race on earth. And they will also share the idea that we have significant technology already on the planet, some hidden and some not, some in plain sight, that if tweaked can be used to do things in a different way. And this will, of course, create some pride. This will create some self-empowerment in humanity. And it's going to be gradual. And that's the way to do it, because they have to get this right, and they want to get this right. But all of their actions will depend on how we react to their presence. They're not going to come down and just do what the Anunnaki did and say, okay, we're here. This is what you have to do. Here, I'll show you how to do it. This is what it is. And then we create a cult and then a religion. They're not going to go down this road, okay, because that has retarded humanity's spiritual growth for over 400 years now, okay? And we're like a bunch of cupcakes. It's ridiculous. So that isn't going to happen. But, that's changing every day, because more and more people are waking up. More and more people are making the decision to create the future they want. And in doing that, they're creating our future. So, it's in flux. This is all in flux. There is no hard one way to do anything at this point, which is great, because we are all extremely resourceful, and there's a million ways to do something, and all get to the same place. The path less traveled, the path of least resistance. We're all trailblazers. We're all founders. Okay, we're all founding fathers and mothers of the new human race, every single one of us. Okay, and that means that you are hacking your way through the weeds to get to a specific place and to show others how to get there. Okay, so know that you're all founding fathers and founding mothers of the new humanity. Okay, and that date's to be determined.
Okay, now there we go. Is there a race of advanced reptilians living underground who wish human beings no harm?
I'm sorry, read that again.
Is there a race of advanced reptilians living underground who wish human beings no harm, who are benevolent?
I don't know. If there is, I have not been read into it. There may be, but I don't know. For a fact, I don't know.
Okay. There's a question mark from Lauren this week. You mentioned 4 timelines. We all know 1 and 2. The third was a clone of our organic timeline used to carry out experiments. You didn't speak about the 4th. Can you go into that?
I don't know much about it at all. I have as many questions as you guys do. I do. And unfortunately, I have to wait to have my questions answered sometimes. I don't have any information on that 4th.
Right. Do you know anything about the 3rd one? I've never heard of that. The organic timeline clone used to experiment on.
That's a really dark timeline. Can we address that at another time?
James, make a note. Take a note, Miss Harkin. No. Okay, so Michael Hudson. You mentioned the asteroids and abandoned moons being activated and hovered over the Earth to help with the magnetic field from Nibiru. Are those bodies in place and working just now?
They are operational, yes. They have been tweaked and tuned, yes. They are, in fact, manned, yes. But have they moved into place just yet? No. They won't move into place until the dwarf star, which is the real threat here, begins to come around the sun and move past us. Now, in talking about this, I want you to be aware of something. When the dwarf star passes, it will be at its closest point to Earth in over 321,000 years. So I am incredibly grateful for the help of the races that are here to make sure that we get through this thing with minimal damage. I really am. It isn't the end of the world. The Earth is not going to be hit by another planet. That isn't going to happen. And, you know, the concern is, of course, asteroids. And it doesn't take that big of a one to cause a serious issue here. But it's going to be a life and civilization altering event for all of us. It really is. It will literally be the end of the innocence. We will no longer think we're alone. We will know we're not alone. We will understand more about the universe and our galaxy and our solar system that we've never known before. It will open the doors to not only knowing about our own space fleet and the technology and capabilities that we actually have and that we have created here on the Earth, whether it was reverse engineered or not. You know, these are all empowering things, and these are all very beneficial and will take humanity to the next level and to another level of self-awareness and self-responsibility. You know, the fact that they have kept this hidden for so long is just absolutely effing criminal. It's just unconscionable that they've done this to humanity. But we can't change that. We can't change the past. All we can do is deal with the future and deal with the now. Okay? And what we need to do is focus on the future, focus on what it is that we want, helping each other, you know, understanding that racial prejudice is learned behavior. We have been taught this behavior to make sure we do not become united, because it's game over, and they have been very, very good and efficient at keeping humanity divided and creating its own enemies. You know, and ladies and gentlemen, we're not the enemy. You know, each other, we're not the enemy, okay? We really all pretty much want the same things. And I covered that just a few minutes ago. JP, I have 2 minutes left.
Okay, 2 minutes. Quick questions. The Nazi timeline, has the last timeline merged yet? Question from Mark.
It's not fully, no. It is not fully merged yet.
Okay.
There's been a lot of intervention, which is why, you know, we see movement of fascism, and then we see exposure and it goes away. And then we'll see more movement of total global governance, and then there's exposure, and then it kind of goes away. You see, it's a chess game, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only a chess game of physical pieces, but of conscious pieces as well, of dark consciousness and enlightened consciousness. And, you know, the one thing dark consciousness can't stand is to have the light shown on it, because what it does is it withdraws, because it knows that it's wrong and that what it's doing is despicable. And this is why we're seeing this tug of war. it's really quite remarkable to watch as an observer. Okay, Guy, last question.
All right. Lovely question from Sarah. Do you have an allotment, Alex?
Do I have a what?
Oh, so in Britain we have we can rent a patch of land to grow vegetables on.
Oh,
We
no,
call
I
it
do
an
not.
allotment.
No, I do not.
Okay. Can an Andromedan have a beer with a Terran? That's bien.
Well, if it were, it'd probably be a third density. It wouldn't be a fifth density. They don't do shine.
So the quick question about booze booze is like it happens when things ferment. So it must have happened on just about every planet ever.
It's
Or
possible.
are there planets where things don't ferment?
It may be possible, but let's just say I don't know about that, and I was never taken to a fifth density Andromedan club.
Oh,
I
that
don't
would be
even
nice,
know
wouldn't it?
if they exist. Maybe that's where the pilots go. I don't know. So, ladies and
some
gentlemen,
closing questions.
thank you.
Closing thoughts, Alex.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I've been feeling very, very punk this whole week, and especially the last 2.5 days. And thank you for going easy on me. And I'm so glad that everything worked well today. And, I love you, and I have so much faith in you guys. I know how awesome you are, and others know how awesome you are. You just need to remember how awesome you are, okay? And we will get through this. I promise.
Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey of self-discovery and cosmic enlightenment with Alex Collier. Your support means the world to us. If you found this video insightful, please show your appreciation by giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon to receive notifications for future uploads. Doing so lets you stay connected with the latest cosmic revelations and helps us spread Alex Collier's profound teachings to a broader audience. Remember, every like, subscription, and bell click can awaken more minds and ignite a collective shift in consciousness. We encourage you to share your thoughts, reflections, and questions in the comments below, as your engagement fuels the expansion of knowledge and fosters a vibrant community of truth seekers. Together, we can uncover the hidden truths of the universe and embark on a journey of cosmic transformation. Until we meet again, keep seeking, growing, and shining your light in the vast cosmic tapestry. If you would like to see Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we host an online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information and dates of upcoming online seminars, please visit alexcollier.org. Please watch one of the above videos to find out more about Alex's knowledge.